I was there at the press conference when you were announced and came back to Tarleton in December 2015. We were a member of the Lone Star Conference and Division II. I mean, could you have ever looked in the future 9 years later and envisioned, Coach, that you'd be a team that's already made the FCS playoffs and the number 3 team in the nation in FCS?
No.
Pretty crazy.
Absolutely. It would have been very crazy to think about that at that time. But you just never know, how things may shake out. And I guess after the 18 season, before the 19 season, Dr. Hurley came on board, and moving from Division II to FCS was one of the top priorities. We didn't waste any time. Within a matter of just a few weeks, we were all in. We shoved all our chips in.
Welcome in, everyone, to the Bleed Purple Nation podcast. I'm your host, Casey Hogan. This is a podcast where we talk about all things Tarleton athletics and Tarleton State University. Make sure you follow the show and subscribe on YouTube. You can follow us. We're on Spotify, add us on Facebook and on Twitter. Lots of different ways to watch the show. And one of the best parts of this show, folks, will be the guests that we have joining us each week. And boy, do we have a treat for you here in episode 2, as I'm joined by the 16th year head football coach at Tarleton State University, the winningest coach in Tarleton State history, Todd Whitten. Coach, I know you're really busy. You've got a lot more important things to do, but I really appreciate you jumping on the show, and congratulations on being the only 5-0 team in football right now.
You bet. I'm sure glad to be here. Really proud of our team. I'm always thankful for the opportunity to be able to talk about our guys and our program. Really proud of our players and what we've been able to accomplish. So thank you for having me.
Yeah, well, you certainly should be, Coach. And before we talk about this year's team, a lot to talk about, and that start to the season, I want to talk overall, Coach, about the exciting things that are happening at Tarleton, the growth of the athletic department and the university. And I was there at the press conference when you were announced and came back to Tarleton in December 2015. We were a member of the Lone Star Conference and Division II. I mean, could you have ever looked in the future 9 years later and envisioned, Coach, that you'd be a team that's already made the FCS playoffs and the number 3 team in the nation in FCS? Pretty crazy.
Absolutely. It would have been very crazy to think about that at that time. But you just never know, how things may shake out. And I guess after the 18 season, before the 19 season, Dr. Hurley came on board, and moving from Division II to FCS was one of the top priorities. We didn't waste any time. Within a matter of just a few weeks, we were all in. We shoved all our chips in, and if you remember that first schedule we were going to play, there was going to be 3 home games and 8 road games. And then COVID hit, and it gave us a chance to kind of reorganize, and we still had kind of an odd schedule for that spring season. But then right away we were in we found our way to the WAC, and that was a godsend, I think. And then along the way we've caught some really good breaks and doing well now.
Yeah, I remember that spring season. I guess we opened against McNeese State, and it was on Fox Sports Southwest. And I remember I was on staff then, and we had put fireworks after the game and worked on that game for months. It was a huge deal. And then what was it, about 15 degrees at kickoff? Yeah. And it was it seemed like anything that was trying to keep us from getting this thing going, and FCS at the beginning did, right?
Yeah, it was an ice storm, and yeah, that 10 or 15 degrees and windy and miserable. I don't know how we survived that first game. It was hard.
Yeah, and I was down on the field with you. It was a neat experience. It was on Fox Sports Southwest, and we're going to talk a little bit later about the transition, but I want to back up. How different, I know this is probably a pretty obvious question, but how different is Tarleton right now than when you first stepped onto campus in 1996?
Just so much bigger, everything, all departments. Athletic department, probably every academic department, enrollment through the roof. It's most of the players from that era that come back through, and I certainly enjoy seeing those guys, keeping up with them. They just can't believe the changes and how things are different, and the campus is closed off. Back in 96, you could drive, every street ran through campus. And
I remember I used to almost get hit walking down Lillian.
Yeah. And so, 100%. It's just been crazy, and really, really for the good. It still feels like a small community, a great college town. And I know one thing that hasn't changed over the years that, young people have always really enjoyed Tarleton. It's a great place to go to school. And they've enjoyed coming here to participate in athletics as well. And it's really a pretty easy sell in terms of recruiting, in my opinion, as well. So it's a special place, and it just keeps keeps growing, and so I'm thankful that I've been able to be a part of it.
Yeah, one of the things that's really changed is athletic facilities. When you came back in 2015, 2016, frankly, everything needed to be renovated, even to stay at the Division II level. And now you've got a beautiful renovated football stadium that you can see behind me. You're in the new field house. It's just unbelievable. I actually got to attend the Wetzel concert in the ECU Center a couple weekends ago and winning that beautiful $130 million facility. I mean, baseball, softball coach. Do you ever get lost driving through campus because it's changed so much? Because I know I do.
Yeah, it's just so different. Yeah, that now there's so many golf carts running around through campus. Probably 100 a day are running through there. But really, I think all of the changes have been really for the good. And it was hard to look into the future, but the Division I thing has been good for Tarleton, and Tarleton has continued to achieve, I think, at a high level. None of us really knew exactly what that was going to look like. And so, but after a year, we kind of looked around and said, we can do this. We got this. And so we've done quite well, I think, as an athletic department in all sports.
The ECU Center, I know it's not a football facility, Coach, primarily, but boy, have you been in that new arena? And I mean, how's that going to help all the head coaches from a recruiting standpoint?
Yeah. Well, it sends the message that athletics at Tarleton are really important, a very important part of our university. And Tarleton is proud of its athletics, and Tarleton has invested greatly in the athletics programs in so many ways. Last Saturday, I don't know the attendance exactly, and I've been around a long time, but it's the absolute biggest crowd I've ever seen in our stadium. And it was, I would say, sold out, not room for hardly another person. And so yeah, the new basketball coliseum, it's going to help us recruit. And that'll be one of the first places we walk our recruits through. We're going to show that off. And again, it just screams that this is really a big deal here at Tarleton Athletics. And so that's what I think is anytime we get something new, and I'm certainly happy for whatever sport that may get a new facility, but we brag on all of it as a football staff and as we go out and recruit, and we're proud of all of our sports programs.
Yeah, I think, in my opinion, the ECU Center is as nice as any Power 5 arena I've been in. Just a beautiful facility. And want to go back, Coach, and talk a little bit about that transition from Division II to Division I. I've always wondered this. I mean, I'm not a coach. I'll never pretend to be a coach. You don't want me to be a coach, but how difficult is it as a coaching staff to keep players focused during a 4-year transition when they can't compete for the postseason or a playoff appearance?
Yeah, I would say the hardest thing I've ever done and coaching college football. 4 years is a long time, probably too long. I don't know what the right number is, but I don't think it should be 4. It is difficult. We had a roster really full of Division II guys, and they were really excited about the move up. They were anxious for an opportunity to play at the Division I level, and that helped keep us all together as well, I think. But it was a busy time, a lot of long hours on the recruiting trail, and we did well out there. We were able to bring good players to campus, and we managed to keep from having a losing season through all that. Very proud of that for our program. And really, in year 4, we qualified for the playoffs. And as I've been now, this is year 6 in FCS, I've learned if you have 8 Division I wins, your chances of making the playoff field are really good.
Sure.
And so 8-3, 8-4, as long as you got 8 Division I wins, you have a great chance to get in. And I believe we would have been selected that year had we been eligible. So really, the 2 previous years, we were a playoff, a team that played well enough to make the playoffs. And so really proud of that as well. The transition was horribly difficult, and again, I think was too much. A couple of years, I think 2 years, I think would be probably a little more like it. But I have not been asked to vote on any of that.
It's almost like they should, and neither have I, of course, but it's almost like they should have benchmarks you hit, and if you hit them in 1 or 2 years, you're out of it. If it takes 4 years, it takes 4 years. Yeah, it
And
doesn't.
our
But
academics were really good too, all through our
yes,
athletic department. So we were on top of things, taking care of business, and also doing well on the field. And so, yeah, 4 years was tough. It was tough not being able to take that team to the playoffs. That was probably the hardest point.
I can imagine. Back to the FCS playoffs, Coach. I remember one year. I think one year you were the head coach at Tarleton in Division II. You went 9-2 and didn't make the Division II playoffs. I remember Coach McElroy one year went 9-2 and didn't make the Division II playoffs. Is that, I don't know, I want to say the word's nice, but isn't that one of the good things about the FCS playoffs? Maybe do they look at the whole body of work a little bit more? Is there less teams?
Yeah, back in the old days, the first time we went to the playoffs, we were 9-2, and we were the number 4 seed in our region. There were 4 teams in 4 regions, 16 teams. Now, you talk about a hard ticket to punch.
Yeah.
Is a Division II playoff ticket in those days. 16 teams went to the playoffs, and I don't know, 200 and something teams were playing Division II football. So it was really, really difficult. And so we made it in. The next year we went 9-2 again and didn't make it. But it was about that time where they expanded the Division II field. And so I think very rarely nowadays do teams that most everybody that should be in, I think, gets in.
You have a new boss and second-year athletic director and vice president for intercollegiate athletics, Steve Arias. What has Steve brought to this athletic department, Coach? What's it been like to work with him?
Oh, he's been great. So many years in the FBS. He's been from Nebraska to Oklahoma State to Texas Tech to West Virginia and now Tarleton. And so he's done great and has been very, very supportive of all of our programs, certainly very supportive of our football program. And he travels with the team, every time we travel. And so he and his wife, Margie, have been just great, and we've enjoyed having them. But, just a different set of eyes. Coach Reisman was here for 40 years and really built this athletic department, and there'll never be another Coach Reisman. He's been so instrumental in my career, and certainly probably did not deserve to come back here a third time, but Coach Reisman made that happen, and it was certainly a blessing for me, and I will forever be thankful for that. So, following Coach Reisman, has to be difficult.
Sure.
Following a legend like that. And so, I think all things considered, I think, Steve has done great and stepped in and really hasn't missed a beat.
You talked a little bit about coming back the third time and not feeling like maybe you at the time deserved it. But how have you grown? I was thinking about like in my professional career, I'm totally different than I was 15 years ago. How have you grown as a coach, as a head coach from your first stint at Tarleton to Sam Houston? And I know you were an assistant at UTEP to Tarleton. What's your career progression been like?
Yeah, when I was younger, probably didn't sit still enough. As young people, oftentimes we get a little anxious, a little bit maybe overly ambitious, but I was hired as a head coach here when I was 30, and the first season I was 31, and there's no way I was ready to do that. And so I got to learn a lot. I think, for a lot of different reasons over the years, and as I've gotten older, it has been my focus. I'm almost ashamed to admit. Early on when I was a young guy, my focus was probably too much on me and,
Mm.
my career and trying to conquer the world. And now, as a guy that's been coaching for 38 years, and my focus is on our players and our coaches and their well-being and getting these guys through college, getting a degree. And I've had a lot of really good coaches through here that have worked alongside with me, and so I get excited when they're able to leave here and go and get um, bigger opportunities and go out and do well. And so um, I think your focus and your goals change as you get older, and I know they have for me.
Coaching, I don't have to tell you this, but coaching is a very time consuming, demanding profession. Oftentimes it means you've got to sacrifice time away from your family. With that in mind, how special has it been for you to have your son Tate as a member of your staff and working with him for the past 8 years?
Yeah, it's been great. And so, as I moved around and was a college football coach kind of all over the place, Tate came to Tarleton as a walk-on wide receiver and had a great career. He didn't play a whole lot, played a little bit, but he had a great experience. And he's like you, he's a Tarleton guy through and through.
Yeah.
And so when I finally got to come back, and he was a senior that year, and so I got to see him every day, and I got to coach him his senior year. And so, again, another example of, a blessing. Figured out real soon there what grace was all about, and to get to have a second or a third chance at coaching the Tarleton State football team, which in my opinion, this is one of the best coaching jobs anywhere. But it's been great. Tate's he GA'd for us, and then we moved him up into a full-time slot, and really almost from the start, he's had a real passion and a real knack for the recruiting side of things. And I remember like it was yesterday, he came into my office and he said, "Dad, I found this guy named Zamari Manning. He's in California and he doesn't have anywhere to go." And he said, "I want you to look at him with me he's had to sit out the last year because of academics, and take a look, see what you think." He said, "I think he can help us." And yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
And so, he needed like 3 more hours of math, I think, or something. And then he was going to be good to go. And he had just kind of gotten lost out there as he had to sit out for a year, but somehow Tate dug him up, and, was he special? Same thing with Ben Holmes. Ben was sitting out, not playing after the death of his mother up at Nassau Community College in New York. So Nassau bussed down to play Trinity Valley Ben's sophomore year. And we got a hold of that Tate. Same thing, kind of. Tate came in and said, "You need to see this quarterback at Nassau." And Tate said he's not able to go anywhere right now. His mother's sick. She has cancer. He's having to stay home and take care of her, and which was the better part of a year. And so he set out, but Tate had kept up with him. And so another one of those situations where all we had to do was just give him a scholarship, and he drove his mom's car after she passed away. He drove her car to Texas, and kind of the rest is history.
Yeah, those two hooked up for a ton of touchdown passes.
Yeah.
So do you tell Tate that you taught him everything he knows about recruiting, or?
No, he has a real knack for that. And so, he's really turning into a fine coach. But back to your original question, it's been a lot of fun. And most coaches don't get the opportunity to do this. And I know it's kind of a rare experience. And so very much a blessing for both he and I.
College athletics has changed so much over the last 6 or 7 years with the transfer portal. I think that started in 2018. Now you have name, image, and likeness. Having top-notch facilities is great, but it's probably not enough anymore. You've got to be pretty strong in those other areas. How's your program been able to adapt and succeed in that environment and retain players?
I made the decision whenever they invented this transfer portal, that we just went all in, and we completely embraced it. And as we moved up to Division I, and for me, it was like my new junior college. When we were in Division II, I loved those junior college kids, and most of our rosters were filled with them. And so now I had another avenue to go find players. And so it's been good for our program. We've gotten a lot of really good kids out of it, players, and it's helped get us over the hump, I think, as we have transitioned. And so immediately we started raising money for the NIL fund. We have not had very many players involved. Last year, we only had 2 or 3. But the fact that we had some NIL money, we were able to keep Darius Cooper here for his whole career. We very rarely have used it in recruiting. 99% of the time, it's been really retaining our roster, keeping our roster together. But we're very blessed. We have a university that's, made a big commitment to our football program. And so we have a good NIL fund. We also work hard to raise extra money for our NIL fund. And so I think this year's team has maybe 40 kids getting something. And so that's a good thing. And it's good for these guys that play the game and get a chance to make a little money on the side. And for a lot of them, the first chance at being kind of a normal college student.
Yeah, and if anybody's watching this and you want to donate, you can go donate to the Light the Stack Fund at tarletonsports.com. / light the stack if you want to give the NIL and help Coach and his team recruit and primarily retain those players. Let's talk a little bit about personnel. I made the trip to the Dakota Dome as a fan last year. It's one of the best trips I've ever taken in my life for a sporting. It would have been better if we'd have won, Coach, but it was a heck of a game. And I really thought early in the game, the skill players for Tarleton showed that they could make big plays and kind of dominated. And then maybe down the stretch, the size and physicality of South Dakota took over. Do you feel like coming into this year, you were better to get able to get bigger and better up front on both sides of the ball?
Yeah, no doubt. And that was our priority. And I think that was the lesson we learned coming out of there was we have to have more depth along the line of scrimmages, and we've got to get bigger and more physical if you're going to compete in the FCS playoffs, because to advance very far, you're going to see those Montana schools and the Dakota schools and Missouri Valley teams, Big Sky teams, and you're going to have to go up and play in some weather. Sometimes you can play in the domes. You hope you get your program to the point to where you can play at home some, but no question, I think we learned our lesson well. We're going to continue to improve our line of scrimmage play, and really and really at all levels. Football games probably are won there first, and sometimes a great quarterback can overcome a lot. But every really good team I've been a part of that was a championship caliber team, we had good offensive and defensive lines.
The second game of the season this year, you travel to West Point. You play an FBS, really good FBS program in Army on August 29th. And the first two games of the season were on national TV, which I know Coach is huge for the program. That game against Army was on CBS Sports. Of course, you won that one in a thriller. What does a win like that on national TV against a good FBS program do for your football team?
Well, it gives our players and our program, coaches, everybody, some recognition. I think it creates value for our program in different ways. Confidence. Again, we sort of reestablish that we belong, and we're getting better, and we're doing things the right way. And so it was just a really, really big win, a lot of fun for our program. And we were thankful to have the opportunity to play on television and do well and get a win and like I said, create some value for our program.
Did anybody show you that little meme of you dancing after the game? Said Coach Whitten dancing his way out of West Point, or did you see that?
I did. Yeah, that just confused me. I wasn't
Was
sure
that
how
you?
that came.
Okay. At first I thought it was you, but I guess if you would have been two-stepping maybe, but
Maybe, yeah.
This past week, your team became the first 5-0 team in all of NCAA football. You beat Chattanooga, 52-24, but you did have some key injuries in that game. How important is it during this bye week for your guys to rest up and get healthy?
Yeah, it's huge. It's coming at a good time. We're going to get some guys back for the Southern Utah game. We had some issues, but that's college football, and it is what it is. You're not going to get away from it. Some years you have a little more luck with that than others. Sometimes injuries come in bunches. You just gotta play through all that, and you gotta keep going. I hate that. Anytime one of our young people get hurt and are going to have to miss a game or something like that. For a college kid that's got 4 years to play, every Saturday is kind of precious for these guys. And so, not just for the team's sake, but also for the players and their careers. I want all of them to reach all their goals. And so you just always hate to see a guy miss a game.
Your senior quarterback, one of the best quarterbacks in FCS football, Victor Cabalas, left the game, and backup quarterback Daniel Greek came in the second quarter, and he finished with 2 touchdowns and 214 yards. How confident are you in that young man if he needs to come in and play?
Yeah, he's ready to go. He started and played the Houston Christian game a year ago, played well. We won, I think, 35-17. It was a hard-fought game. And so we have a lot of confidence in Daniel. He's a good quarterback. And our team, our staff, everybody, we're confident that he'll get the job done if he's asked to go in there. And so we feel very good about him.
After the game, Chattanooga head coach Rusty Wright said in his post-game radio interview, that Tarleton is the best FCS team they've faced since James Madison in 2019, and that team lost in the national championship game that year. I know your guys are not listening necessarily to the Chattanooga post-game radio show, but how do you keep your guys level-headed and when they hear those kind of things about this team being so good? Because I know you said that this team still has a lot of work to do, right?
Yeah, we do, no doubt. So you're never going to play a perfect game, but as a coaching staff, we've got to keep pushing our program forward, our players. There's great opportunities to teach and to coach these guys, get things corrected every week, and so we just go 1 week at a time. I know that's coach speak, but that's really it. And so um, we don't get out any further than that. And so it's always nice to be complimented. We'll take it. Um, but all we're talking about around here is Southern Utah.
Want to put a plug in. I know that y'all have a new program that's called Suits for Seniors, and I believe your wife has been instrumental in getting that started. And talk to fans about that. Why is it so important for these seniors to come out and get a suit, and how neat of a program has that been?
It's been great. It's been like some of the easiest fundraising that we've ever done. People are anxious to do that for our guys. Number one, college football players are built a little differently, and it's impossible to buy things to get a suit off the rack. And so we have a custom suit guy come in and measure every one of our guys, and they get a really sharp suit that fits them just right. And so it gives them a little bit of an advantage. And that's part of what we do as coaches in our football program. We're always looking for ways to give our program an advantage, or our players, as game day approaches. And so same thing with those suits. We've had players interview for their first jobs, get married in those suits, support their teammates as they get married. But for a young man to have a new suit that fits him really well, I think is important as they get started out in the real world. And so it's been an outstanding program. And Miss Dana, my wife, has been working hard with this. And so it's just been a great experience. And like I said, a real positive thing for the guys as they get new suits.
If someone wants to give to that program, Suits for Seniors, what's the best? I mean, should they call the football office? What's the best way for them to?
Yeah, just call the football office, and Miss Melanie will get them hooked up and directed at the right spot there.
Coach, final question for you. Being around college athletics a little bit in my career, you hear coaches use the term love a lot, or, hey, this team is a family. And sometimes when you see coaches say it, it's coach speak. And I'm not sure that I at least believe that maybe they love their players or that it's truly a family. But I see your post-game speeches on the field, and you tell your guys that you love them, and I can hear your voice crackling. I mean, you can just tell it's genuine, that you really do love these kids. Where does that come from?
Well, yeah, I'm very thankful to get to coach these guys. And I get to see how hard these guys work. And I just think, and it's the older I have gotten, and like I said earlier, my focus has kind of changed from me and my career to the players and their careers and the assistant coaches and their careers. And so, and it's at some point, probably with every coach, you realize the reason we have these jobs are these players. And so probably took me longer than it needed to realize that they're the reason that we have that stadium that's behind you there. And this university wouldn't be here if it didn't need students. I have figured this out, that it's about these young people, and they're the main thing. So, and it's probably harder today to be a young person than it's ever been, growing up and getting through college and surviving all that's out there. And so, and I admire these young people a lot. And so, the guys that I'm blessed to work with.
Yeah, I can imagine with social media as well and the things that they have to hear. It is a tough time to be a student athlete. Well, Coach, first off, I really appreciate your time, and I think I speak for all Tarleton fans, supporters, and alumnus when I let you know just how proud we are of you and your staff, and we certainly wish you the luck the rest of the way.
Thank you. It's been great being on here, and let's do it again sometime.
Yeah, thanks so much, Coach. The head coach of Tarleton football, Todd Whitten, here on the Bleed Purple Nation podcast. Thanks for tuning in, everyone.